Nancy Wilkins hated seeing my disabled daughter at the playground. That day, our HOA president crossed the line. She yanked my Sarah from the special swing, breaking both her fragile arms. Now Nancy faces criminal charges while my 9-year-old endures painful recovery. One moment of cruelty changed everything forever. Before watching full story, comment below from where you're watching. Also, like and subscribe for more stories. Your daughter's therapy equipment in the backyard is visible from the street and violates neighborhood standards. Nancy Wilkins announced loudly at the community meeting, pointing directly at me. We can't have medical devices ruining the aesthetic of Oak Meadows. Every head in the room turned to stare at us. My face burned with anger and embarrassment. That medical device is a therapy swing that helps my daughter strengthen her muscles, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. It's in our fenced backyard and barely visible unless you're deliberately peering over our fence. Nancy tapped her perfectly manicured nails on the table. Several neighbors have complained. Perhaps you should consider a community with special needs accommodations instead of a premium neighborhood. Gasps echoed around the room. Even New York's usual supporters looked uncomfortable. Are you suggesting we should move because my daughter is disabled? I asked incredulously. I'm suggesting that Oak Meadows has standards, Nancy replied coldly. Not everyone wants to see hospital equipment when they're enjoying their gardens. It's a swing, not hospital equipment, my husband Tom interjected. And I don't recall anything in the bylaws prohibiting therapy equipment on private property. New York's eyes narrowed. The board has discretion to determine what constitutes an eyesore. We'll be sending an official violation notice tomorrow. This had been our life since moving to Oak Meadow 6 months ago. Nancy Wilkins, the HOA president, seemed personally offended by our daughter's existence and used every bit of her authority to make us feel unwelcome. The following Saturday, my heart stopped when I heard my daughter Sarah scream. I was sitting on a bench at Oak Grove Playground, watching her play on the special swing made for kids who can't walk. Sarah has a condition that makes her bones weak and her muscles not work right. She's been using a wheelchair since she was 4, but she's the bravest, happiest 9-year-old I know, despite the challenges she faces daily. That Saturday had started with such promise. Sarah had been asking all week to go to the new playground that had special equipment for kids like her. The city had spent a lot of money making sure all children could play there, not just those who could run and climb. Mom, can we go to the butterfly park? Sarah called it that because the main play structure was shaped like giant butterfly wings. Of course, sweetie, I promised. Dad has to work today, but you and I can have a special day out. Sarah's smile was worth everything. Getting her ready took time. We had to pack her medications, extra padding for her wheelchair, and snacks for energy. But seeing her excitement made it all worthwhile. The playground was busy when we arrived. Children were running, swinging, and laughing while parents chatted nearby. I helped Sarah into the adaptive swing, a special seat with straps to hold her safely. She loved the feeling of swinging, the closest she could get to the sensation of running. Higher, Mom. I want to touch the clouds. She laughed as I pushed her gently. I was careful, always mindful of her fragile body, but determined to give her the joy other children took for granted. We had been there about 20 minutes when I noticed a woman watching us with narrow eyes. She wore expensive-looking clothes and had that perfectly styled hair that somehow never moves. I'd seen her at neighborhood meetings before. Nancy Wilkins, the president of our homeowners association. She had given us trouble before about the ramp we installed at our front door for Sarah's wheelchair, saying it ruined the aesthetic of the neighborhood. I tried to ignore her, focusing instead on Sarah's happiness. But Nancy started walking toward us with purpose, her designer purse swinging from her arm. Excuse me, she said sharply. How long do you plan to monopolize that equipment? My grandchildren would like a turn, and you've been here for quite some time. I looked around confused. There were no children waiting for the adaptive swing. In fact, it was the only piece of equipment in the busy playground not being swarmed by kids. I don't see anyone waiting, I said politely. This is the special swing for disabled children. There are 5 regular swings over there that are open. New York's face tightened. All the equipment in this park is for everyone? These special accommodations cost taxpayers a fortune, and it's selfish to hog them. Sarah sensed the tension and her smile faded. Mom, is something wrong? Nothing, sweetie, I reassured her. We're just talking. You keep swinging. Nancy crossed her arms. I'm on the Parks Committee, and we've implemented a 5-minute time limit for all playground equipment when others are waiting. But no one is waiting, I repeated, trying to keep my voice calm, and this is the only equipment Sarah can use. Rules are rules, Nancy insisted. My grandchildren want to try this swing. They're curious about it. They're welcome to try it when Sarah is finished, I explained. She doesn't get many opportunities to play like other kids. What happened next still plays in slow motion in my nightmares. Nancy stepped forward and reached for the safety harness, securing Sarah in the swing. What are you doing? I shouted, moving to stop her, but I wasn't fast enough. These special needs families always think they deserve special treatment, Nancy muttered as she unlatched the safety belt. It's time you learn to wait your turn like everyone else. Sarah, who lacks the strength to hold herself upright without support, immediately began to slip sideways in the seat. I lunged forward, but I was a few steps away, too far to catch her. She fell from the swing, unable to break her fall, and landed hard on the rubber playground surface. The sound of her scream will haunt me forever. Sarah. I dropped to my knees beside her. One look told me it was bad. Both her arms were bent at unnatural angles. Her fragile bones had snapped under the impact. You see what happens when you don't follow the rules? Nancy said, stepping back. If you had just let other children have a turn, this wouldn't have happened. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Someone call an ambulance, I shouted to the gathering crowd. A young father was already on his phone with 911. A woman who said she was a nurse knelt beside us, gently assessing Sarah without moving her. And thankfully, another parent was recording the entire incident on her phone. Don't touch that child, the nurse told Nancy firmly when she tried to approach again. You've done enough damage. It was an accident, Nancy protested, looking around at the hostile faces surrounding her. The swing must have been defective. I was just trying to help other children have a turn. No one was waiting for the swing, several voices said at once. We all saw what you did. The ambulance arrived within minutes. The paramedics were gentle with Sarah, carefully stabilizing her arms before moving her. One of them looked grim when he saw the angles of the fractures. Her bones are very fragile, I explained through tears. She has osteogenesis imperfecta. Even minor falls can cause breaks. As they loaded Sarah into the ambulance, a police officer approached. The parent who had recorded the incident was already showing him the video. Do you want to press charges? He asked me quietly. Yes, I said without hesitation. This wasn't an accident. At the hospital, the news was worse than I feared. Both of Sarah's arms had multiple fractures. She would need surgery to place pins in the bones, followed by months in casts, and then physical therapy. For a child already fighting for independence, this was devastating. My husband Tom arrived at the hospital still in his work uniform, his face pale with shock and anger when he saw Sarah's condition. Who would do this to a child? He kept asking, his voice breaking. What kind of monster hurts a disabled little girl? The next few weeks were the hardest of our lives. Sarah endured 2 surgeries and woke up crying from pain, despite medication. She needed help with everything: eating, bathing, using the bathroom. For a child who had worked so hard for every bit of independence, this total dependence was as painful as the broken bones. Why does Mrs. Wilkins hate me, Mom? She asked one night as I helped her eat. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I had no good answer. How do you explain adult cruelty to a child? Meanwhile, Nancy had been arrested and charged with assault causing serious bodily harm to a disabled person, a felony in our state. The video evidence was damning, showing her deliberately removing Sarah's safety harness despite my protests. Multiple witnesses came forward describing not only what happened that day, but other incidents of New York's hostility toward families with special needs children. We learned she had complained to the Parks Department about the money spent on accessible equipment. Regular children are being shortchanged to accommodate a tiny minority, she had written in an email that now formed a part of the evidence against her. What surprised us most was the community's response. Neighbors we barely knew brought meals and offered help. Sarah's classmates made cards and video messages. The local adaptive sports program offered free physical therapy sessions once she was ready. Most touching of all were the families of other disabled children who reached out to share similar experiences, though none as violent as what happened to Sarah. Many confessed they avoided public playgrounds because of the stairs comments and occasional hostility. 3 months after the incident, as Sarah was finally having her cast removed, NY's case went to trial. Her attorney tried to portray what happened as an unfortunate accident, a concerned citizen trying to ensure fair use of public equipment who didn't understand the special needs of a disabled child. The jury didn't buy it. The video was too clear, the witness statements too consistent, and NY's own words immediately after the incident revealed her true attitude toward disabled children and their families. After just 2 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a guilty verdict on all counts. Nancy was sentenced to 4 years in prison with additional requirements to complete community service with organizations serving disabled individuals and to pay for all of Sarah's medical expenses. The court takes very seriously crimes that target vulnerable citizens, the judge stated during sentencing. This was not a momentary lapse in judgment, but a deliberate act that caused serious harm to a disabled child who was simply trying to enjoy a playground like any other child. Outside the courthouse, reporters asked how we felt about the verdict. "We're not celebrating someone going to prison," Tom said. "We're relieved that the justice system recognized the seriousness of what happened to our daughter." Sarah, sitting in her wheelchair with her arms still in lightweight braces, asked if she could say something. The reporters lowered their microphones. "I just want all kids to feel safe at playgrounds," she said in her clear, sweet voice. "It's not fair that some kids are afraid to play because grown-ups don't want them there. Playgrounds are for everyone." Her simple words made headlines across the region. The City Parks Department, motivated by the case and the publicity it generated, announced a new initiative to make all public playgrounds fully accessible and to train staff on disability awareness. 6 months after the incident, Sarah returned to the butterfly playground for the first time. She was nervous, clinging to my hand as we approached the adaptive swing area. "What if someone gets mad at me again?" she whispered. "Look around, sweetie," I told her. The playground had changed. New signs explained that the adaptive equipment was primarily for disabled children, but could be used by all when not needed. A beautiful mural decorated the entrance, showing children of all abilities playing together. And most importantly, a park attendant was present, trained to ensure the safety and inclusion of all children. But the most significant change was in the families using the park. Parents were more aware, more considerate. Children played together regardless of ability, with older kids often helping younger or disabled ones navigate the equipment. As Sarah settled into the adaptive swing, securely fastened with a safety harness, a little boy approached with his mother. "Can I swing next to her?" he asked, pointing to a regular swing. Of course, I smiled. Soon the two children were swinging side by side, laughing together. Sarah's face lit up with joy, the pure, uncomplicated happiness that every child deserves. "Hi, Mom," she called. "I want to touch the clouds." This time, there was no one to stop her. Today, a year after the incident, Sarah is doing well. Her arms healed better than the doctors expected, though she still needs physical therapy. She's become something of a local celebrity, speaking at her school about disability awareness and helping design a new fully accessible playground across town. Nancy Wilkins is serving her prison sentence and will be released in 3 years. I don't know if her time in prison will change her heart or mind. I hope so for her sake and for the sake of other disabled children she might encounter in the future. As for our family, we found strength we didn't know we had. Tom and I started a support group for parents of children with disabilities, focusing on advocacy and education. We've worked with local government to review and improve accessibility in public spaces. And Sarah, she's just being a kid going to school, making friends, and yes, swinging as high as she can whenever we visit the playground. The incident changed our community in ways we never expected. People became more aware, more compassionate, more willing to stand up when they see injustice. Sometimes it takes something terrible to create positive change. Last week, at the opening of the new accessible playground Sarah helped design, the mayor presented her with a special award for courage and advocacy. As Sarah wheeled onto the stage to accept it, the crowd erupted in applause. "I just want to say one thing," she told the gathered families. "Playgrounds are magic places where all kids should feel happy and safe. And now, because of what happened to me, more kids will." Out of the tragedy of that day came a wave of change that continues to spread through our community and beyond. Sarah's broken arms have healed, but the broken barriers between children of different abilities are what truly matters. Sometimes justice isn't just about punishment. Sometimes it's about transformation of communities, systems, and hearts. That transformation is Sarah's true legacy, far outlasting the pain one cruel woman caused on a spring day at a playground.